Well, we want to welcome everyone this evening for joining us, and we just going to ask if we can bow our heads and let's have a word of prayer to invite the Holy Spirit to be with us this evening. Father in heaven, as we come to thee, we thank thee, Lord, that you have chosen us to represent you in this perverse world. And we just ask for leading and guidance and direction in our lives that we may have victory, not only in our diet, Father, but on every aspect of our lives, because we want to be prepared for thy soon coming. So we just ask that you would keep us in perfect peace, those whose mind is stayed upon thee. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, this evening we're going to continue on where we left off last night. So this is part 3 of our Lay Institute for Evangelism. What I want to share with you just a little bit in brief is in reference to being prepared in these last days, trying to encourage our brethren to do what they can, pray earnestly, effectively, to make the right moves, and as to where the Lord would lead you to live. And so we're going to kind of look at a couple of 7 vital steps for getting ready. One, you need to plan, be proactive and not be reactive to situations. As things are moving in quick succession, we need to be planning as much as we can, praying, but also moving out by faith as well. The other thing is we need to do our research, do our due diligence as to where the Lord would have us to live, where the Lord would have us to minister as well. The other would be explained, clearly defined to your spouse, to your family, what needs to be done, especially here, there in our church, there's the people that are coming here, they're moving toward the country, but as always, there's going to be, this late at the state, many of our Adventist brethren are going to be paying a higher price because of the cost of properties and inflation, things of that nature. But it's also going to be a challenge for those that have not been preparing for years. We have one family member church family member that actually is struggling with one of their children. Them moving out in the country. It's a divorced family, and the oldest daughter is actually saying, you're betraying me, you're leaving me and abandoning me, and things of that nature. So it's gonna be tough for those that have not been preparing, but prepare we must. The other thing is prioritize. Do not be overwhelmed. We need to take steps towards our goals as well. So you got a priority. What is the top priority? What we need to do first, and then go from there. The other thing is ask. Don't be afraid to ask for help from others. There's individuals that they think they can do it. I have another person, a lady that bought property and was helping, and then she just kind of dropped me like a hot potato. And then I found out that she's overwhelmed by things, but she's not willing to ask for help as needed. Be restful and at peace with whatever decision you make. After you've done these planning, research, explaining, prioritizing, asking, then you got to rest with what you have decided. Need to execute, implement your plans. Don't wait around. You got to do it now, and then demonstrate your resolve, because other people will watch you and see what you're doing, and they will be influenced as well. And so and encouraged by your decisions. So we got to be prepared for the time of trouble that's coming quicker than most people realize. And so here's a admonition in Matthew. Says, when ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Whoso readeth, let him understand. Matthew 24:15, and says, and when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, they know that the desolation thereof is nigh. And then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter therein. So when you start seeing these things taking place, then we're to share. So hold on, something's going on. My apologies. All right, here we go. Sorry for the technical difficulty. In manuscript 17 says, the plagues of the last days are to be poured out on the inhabitants of the world who have shown marked contempt for the law of God. God's people should seek to reach the people of the world, proclaiming the truth as it is found in his word. But the time will come when they will have to move away from the cities and live in small companies by themselves. If our people regard God's instructions as of value, they will move away from the cities so they will not be pained by its revolting sights, that their children will not be corrupted by its vices. It says those who choose to remain in the cities, surrounded by the houses of unbelievers, must share the disasters that will come upon them. So the instruction is that the warning is we're supposed to move, but if we don't, then we will share the destruction of those that are in the cities. And it says, how can we be an example, witness, and a help to others if we are unprepared ourselves and dependent on the resources of the world? This is a question that we should seriously consider. In evangelism, we're told, when iniquity abounds in a nation, there's always to be heard some voice giving warning and instruction. As the voice of Lot was heard in Sodom, yet Lot could have preserved his family from many evils had he not made his home in this wicked, polluted city. It says all that Lot and his family did in Sodom could have been done by them, even if they had lived in a place some distance away from the city. Enoch walked with God, and yet he did not live in the midst of any city, polluted with every kind of violence and wickedness, as did Lot in Sodom. So we can do our work from outside and work in the cities, but go home where it's safe for us to spiritually and mentally and physically prepare for the final events. Manuscript says Enoch did not make his abode with the wicked. He did not locate in Sodom, thinking to save Sodom. He placed himself and his family where the atmosphere would be as pure as possible. Then at times he went forth to the inhabitants of the world with his God-given message. Every visit he made to the world was painful to him. He saw and understood something of the leprosy of sin. After proclaiming his message, he always took back with him to his place of retirement some who had received the warning. Some of these became overcomers and died before the flood came. But some had lived so long in the corrupting influence of sin that they could not endure righteousness. They did not retain their purity of faith, but returned to their former customs and their practices. And we're seeing that many, as trials and temptations and all that come, that their love, their zeal, their courage and all that are waning because of pressure from family and outside forces as well. So let's get back to our health lecture. We're going to look at our third elimination channel. We've already covered through the 2. We've got 4 more to go. So we're going to look at our kidneys, what we need to do to maintain it, to keep it in a healthy condition. Here it says the kidneys belong to the urinary system, along with the bladder, uterus, and urethra. This system regulates the amount of water in the body, and most importantly, it cleans the blood of waste as well. So this is why it's important that when we look at these 7 eliminations, that we take care of them, keep them and healthy, keep them flushed, and cleanse and detox as well. So the kidneys are located on each side of the abdomen, just inside the lowest back rib. The right kidney is slightly lower to make room for the liver. It says each kidney is 5 inches long, 2.5 inches wide, and about a 1/2 inch thick. The kidney resembles a large purplish brown bean with the hollow side facing inward. And going on, says, 1, the function of the kidney is unfiltered blood enters the kidney through the renal arteries. As you can see in the picture diagram of the anatomy of the kidney, says the nephrons located within the kidney filter the blood. Toxins and waste are removed and collected as urine. And it says urine drains into a central collection channel from filtration areas throughout the kidney. So when it starts filtering, then it goes to be able to be deposited and dumped through urination. It says 4, the urine exits the kidney through the ureter, which leads to the bladder then. And then filtered or clean blood leaves the kidney by the renal veins that it goes back into the circulation in the body. kidneys are the magnificent filters of the blood. Blood passes through the kidneys at the rate of about a quart a minute, or 1,500 quarts every 24 hours. In 7 minutes, they handle the amount of blood equal to all the blood in the body. So every 7 minutes, the whole blood is going through the kidneys, being filtered out. So as you can see, the microscopic view of the sharp edges of a kidney stone, and this is why drinking soda pops, things of that nature, can actually cause these very hurtful, basically, I guess is the best to describe it, kidney stones and all that. So what you can do is there's a product, several things out there, but what we use is usually kidney rejuvenator, or when you do like the 5-day liver gallbladder cleanse. It says you can use home remedies to avoid UTIs, urinary tract infections, and improve kidney function. We need to drink a lot of purified water. We've got to be very careful. Using tap water is not going to help. The other thing is drinking 100% cranberry juice. The Lakewood is a good product. The RW Hudson as well, that I shared with you, I think last night. You can get them at Walmart. That's more affordable. We must avoid alcohol, coffees, and caffeines, even green teas and things of that nature, that though they may be advocating that it's healthy, it's actually detrimental to the body. We need to also take some probiotics from time to time, or make our own probiotics. Get some true vitamin C in our system as well. Try taking some parsley juice as well. Consume apples and organic apple juice. Again, this is, if you get apples, try to get them as healthy. If you can afford organic apples, then then that's even better, healthier for us. Also takes some Epsom salt baths that will actually help relieve a lot of pressure on the kidneys and relax you overall. And so here's one of the things that we do suggest, if someone is willing to take, is a nutritional supplement, that Peter Gilliam's Kidney Rejuvenator. Supports kidney function. It has a proper blend, combination for the body to be able to take. And it says it also has like the cinnamon bark to reinforce circulation for the kidneys, the liver, and the spleen. And so if you're working on something that you may have like UTIs, then it may take a couple of months for you to be able to get the kidneys rejuvenated properly. Let's look at your lungs now, which is the fourth elimination channel. And your lung, it says this is penalties for poor breathing. One, you can have inadequate breathing, which will result in shallow and restricted breathing, which will reduce vitality, meaning this is why we've got to learn how to breathe properly, even doing breathing exercises, sitting properly, standing properly when you walk around. So it can reduce vitality, can cause metabolic fires to burn low, meaning when you're eating, then it's not going to break down the food as quickly as it needs to. You're going to be more feeling sluggish. This also will lead to fatigue, exhaustion, and anemia by not having proper breathing. The other thing is you'll have anemia, depression, poor memory loss, poor concentration, impairs mental activities such as your willpower, have discernment. You're going to end up having low self-esteem, and then you will also have a false sense of guilt as well. So poor breathing robs us of the joy of living. And so that's, this is something that we need to, again, go back and on a daily basis for maybe a couple of weeks is to learn how to breathe properly. So what happens when we, ended up start breathing in properly? It says a newborn babies breathe properly, and what goes wrong? It says there's an old saying that where fresh air and sunshine enter little, the doctors enter often. And so one of the things in proper breathings, there's what develops is emotions, and the breathing, there's a connection. If you have, as you see at the top, emotion, which could be fear, anger, frustration, Then down at the bottom right, you're going to have behavioral issues like irritability, aggressions, words and thoughts, things of that nature, which then will increase, and you're going to end up having physical response such as sweaty hands, elevated breathing rate, muscle tensions, heart rate, and blood pressure. And so this is just a continuous endless cycle that there's no solutions. But we can stop this and reverse these health problems. And so just about everyone comes into the world breathing properly. So what goes wrong? Usually the inability to breathe correctly is rooted deep in one's emotional makeup. And so it's deep rooted, but it can be simply reversed. It says the problem starts in early childhood with a sharp stop crying. And the child, when he first hears that, the child ends up responding by holding the breath. He suppresses his anger, which is an emotional feeling, by drawing back his shoulders and constricting the chest and throat muscles in order to prevent screaming, because he hears a sharp command that he hadn't heard before. Suppression of any feeling or emotion results in muscle tension that limits respiration. As we become adults and face more intense stress, the repression increases. So as time develops and we continue hearing these, stop screaming or these outbursts that are being causing us to have these suppressions, we end up submerging our feelings instead of expressing them. It says those restricts our breathing each time it happens. Eventually, we have the habit of poor breathing. Thus, breathing may be a reflection of mental health. In many emotional disorders, proper breathing is a key that can bring healing and release as well. So what we have found is that this psychiatrist, Alexander Lowen, studied the emotional roadblocks that has been built against proper breathing. In his studies on neurotic and schizoid personalities, it demonstrated a distinct relationship between the way a person breathes and his or her emotional disorder. So he saw the connection here. And so the schizoid personality tends to breathe with the upper chest, while the neurotic uses superficial diaphragmatic breathing. Dr. Lauren found that establishing proper breathing pattern helped these people regain normal life again. And one of the best simplest ways, just get an investment, go to Walmart, get some balloons, and then on at least once a day, if not twice a day, learn to breathe. Inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth into the balloon, because what that will do is will give exercising to your lungs, and also help you to know that to increase your O2 capacity, and also exercising the lungs, so that way when you're not doing those breathing exercises, you're learning how to breathe deeper and fuller. So fortunately, most of us are neither neurotic nor schizoid, but that does not exclude the possibility of ill effects from improper breathing. By being in good physical and mental health, we can reap the benefits of improved breathing much sooner as well. So improving one's breathing is a relatively easy procedure, but the blueprint must be followed closely and faithfully. It will take concentration, for one. It's going to take diligence and perseverance to reverse the patterns established over many years. But here's the thing, the reward is worth the effort. So a lot of people don't want to take the effort and the time to do what is necessary to reverse these ill health effects and all that. Lung solutions. So what we're going to look here, it says mullein is a fine medicinal for the lungs. So what we can do is use mullein. It soothes inflamed or infected lungs and prevents coughing until infection and inflammation is broken. Then it aids in expectoration, helping to break up the congestion and promote effective coughing as well. So this is one of the things that if you're taking mullein, it helps break up any inflammation or infection that we may have in the lung. Mullein is used for cough, whooping cough, tuberculosis, bronchitis, hoarseness, pneumonia, earaches, colds, chills, flu, swine flu, fever, allergies, tonsillitis, and sore throat. Other uses include asthma, diarrhea, colic, gastrointestinal bleeding, migraines, joint pain, and also gout. So there's a wide variety of things that you can use mullein. One of the things that's interesting when you get mullein started, as you can see that picture, it actually reproduces itself and eventually enlarge and can take over an area. So it's nice to just kind of actually have mullein or even comfrey by itself and just let it grow. So another solution is eucalyptus. It says native to Australia, eucalyptus isn't just for koala bears. Aborigines, Germans, and Americans have all used the refreshing aroma of eucalyptus to promote respiratory health and soothe throat irritation. Eucalyptus is a common ingredient in cough lozenges and syrups, and its effectiveness is due to a compound called cinnalin. Cinnalin has numerous benefits. It's an important expectorant, can ease a cough, fights congestion, and soothes irritated sinus passages, but also as an expectorant, it actually helps you cough that stuff out of your lungs, out of your system, so that way you can get over it. It says, as an added bonus, because eucalyptus contains antioxidants, it supports the immune system during a cold or other illness. And during this cold and flu seasons, the COVID and all that, it being an antioxidant, it actually will boost the immune system effectively. Another one is chaparral. Chaparral plant native to the Southwest has been appreciated by the Native Americans for lung detoxification and respiratory support. Chaparral contains powerful antioxidant, another good one, that resists irritation and the NDGA, which is known to fight histamine response. The NDGA inhibits aerobic and anaerobic glycolysis, basically the energy producing ability of cancer cells. Chaparral is also a herb that fights harmful organisms. The benefits of chaparral are mostly available in a tincture extraction, but chaparral tea may support respiratory problems by encouraging an expectorant action to clear airways of mucus as well. So it will cause you to start coughing the mucus out, or blowing, when you blow your nose, the mucus that develops in your nasal conches and everything else will start. It will increase, so that way your body will heal itself. Another one that I like is lobelia. Dr. Christopher considered lobelia to be one of the greatest herbs in the world, and he used it in over 20 of his herbal formulas. Lobelia is known as the thinking herb, or what I call the smart herb, because it will go to the part of the body that is ailing, often taking constituents of other herbs with it. So it actually is like a catalyst that actually brings the other herbs to where they need. Says one of the greatest aspects of lobelia is that it removes obstructions and congestion within the body, especially the blood vessels. It will also help the body eliminate toxins that are in the system, choosing the best elimination channel. Dr. Christopher used lobelia prolifically throughout his practice and with great success. So what happens is, if a person's taking lobelia and they have any type of breathing issues, from asthma to lung cancer, and it depends on the faithfulness and also the willingness of the person to increase and the amount that is taken to get the desired effect. It will try to eliminate whatever the problem, especially like lung cancer. I've had our guests that have had lung cancer and the body expelling it so quickly that they've had red spots on their back, that they was trying to detox the lung cancer out of the system. So, and here's a picture of one of our guests that actually came to us, did a 30-day program, and after she left, she actually went back to St. Louis, and about a week or so later, she sent me these pictures and said that almost killed her, because she never smoked, she was an Adventist, vegetarian, vegan, and so, but because of other factors, that she developed lung cancer, and she ended up coughing this up, and she was so thankful to get rid of this through her system. So here's another picture here of the lung cancer that she had. So Lobelia has an unfair reputation as being a dangerous herb or a poison because it is an emetic. Dr. Christopher once accidentally swallowed 4 tablespoons of lobelia, mistaking it for apple cider vinegar. After vomiting profusely, he felt fine and suffered no damage whatsoever. Dr. Thompson was once taken to court for killing a man with lobelia. The man, who was supposedly dead, showed up to give witness against him. The case was obviously thrown out of court. No deaths have ever been proven to have been caused by the use of lobelia. So I wouldn't advise taking, anything in an abundance can be damaging, but in the case of lobelia, you would have to have an extreme amount to cause any type of detrimental death or whatever to the person that you're trying to work with. In the 1980s, the Federal Food and Drug Administration tried to ban the use of lobelia because of the alkaloid lobeline. The FDA based their decision upon written sources in Poisonous Plant Book because they didn't have any actual case files of damage. Lobelia is still legal to use and is not considered toxic by the FDA. So scientific tests have been done to determine a toxic amount of lobelia. It has been determined that it would take 4 pounds of lobelia being injected into the body to kill a person. So that's quite a bit. No person is going to intake 4 pounds of lobelia in one setting. They would start vomiting before they made it to 1 pound. Dr. Christopher never had to use more than 3 teaspoons of lobelia with any of his patients that he worked with. So this is something that I would, again, encourage everybody to overall just have it there at all times. Lobelia is an expectorant, a diaphoretic, an anti-asthmatic, an antispasmodic, and an emetic. It has been used in combination with mullein for an excellent glandular phlegm. The American Indians used lobelia as a cure for syphilis and as a diaphoretic and to expel worms as well. So now, if you combine lobelia with false unicorn, lobelia is used to prevent miscarriages. Dr. Christopher had multiple successes in stopping miscarriages. Some of Dr. Christopher's students used the false unicorn lobelia to help a woman who was miscarrying. Because the bleeding didn't stop, they took her to a hospital. When they got her to the hospital, her body expelled the fetus. The doctor was amazed because the fetus had been dead for several weeks. He explained that in this type of situation, they usually have to surgically remove particles of the placenta, but this woman's uterus was clean because of being given the lobelia and the false unicorn. Lobelia has also been used as a painkiller. One of Dr. Christopher's students smashed his hand with a hammer. He soaked the hand in lobelia tincture, and the pain subsided in minutes. Dr. Christopher stressed that lobelia should be used to relieve pain only if the pain is acute and not for minor pain relief. Lobelia can be applied externally or internally to relieve pain. So you can actually use this externally and put it right on the body. And so if there's extreme pain, then I would suggest, and I recommend the lobelia with the alcohol because one, it gets in the bloodstream much quicker. I'm not promoting alcoholism, but because of the combination in this formula, alcohol is only 5%. That's in their potions when they're those at the Dr. Christopher's when they put it together. So look at the lungs. It says the lungs' main function is to help oxygen from the air we breathe enter the red blood cells. Red blood cells then carry oxygen around to the body to be used in the cellular in our bodies. The lungs also help the body to get rid of the CO2 gas when we breathe out as well. So this is why it's important that our breathing, our air passages are not obstructed. So the lungs' main function is to help oxygen from the air we breathe. Sorry about that. For some reason it's on there twice. So let's go on. So as I mentioned earlier, one thing that I suggest is buying some balloons. For about $1 or so, you can get about 12 balloons. It says a simple exercise that creates lung capacity is blowing up a certain amount balloons each day. Blowing balloons works out the intercostal muscles responsible for spreading and elevating your diaphragm and rib cage. This allows the lung to absorb oxygen, alter its chemical composition while still in the lungs, and expel carbon dioxide as exhaling is commenced. Balloon blowing, while the effectively exercising the lungs' ability to expand and take in air, does not affect the size or number of alveoli containing the lungs. The alveoli, as you know, that are in the lungs are air sacs that disperse carbon dioxide during exhalation and oxygen into the blood during inhalation. So this is where the alveoli is the exchange of the CO2 and also the O2 that will be attached to the blood as it passes through. So if you're a smoker, this is what will be detrimental to our lung. If a person smokes, there is irritation and inflammation of the throat and lungs, chronic cough, chronic bronchitis, and premature aging of the skin. This eventually leads to lung cancer, high blood pressure, osteoporosis, emphysema, respiratory ailments, heart disease, strokes, and or many other disease conditions, and also cancers by smoking. Women will have intensified problems with menstruation and menopause. It will actually bring about an earlier onset of menopause. And men will have greater prostate problems as well. It says women who smoke age twice as fast as other women. Their skin rapidly ages, and the result is a dull, lifeless gray, deteriorating complex, and also wrinkles. That's why, a lot of times you see these young girls that are smoking, young men, you're like, well, why are you wasting your body? Because eventually, you will age much quicker than what we should be having to. Continuing on, it says, if a person chews tobacco, there is irritation and inflammation in the lips, mouth, teeth, throat, and esophagus. This eventually leads to cancer of the lip, mouth, tongue, larynx, the esophagus, pharynx, and other diseases that will develop. E-cigarettes destroys 25 milligrams of vitamin C, and a full pack in one day eliminates more of this vitamin than is in our normal diet. So if people are used to smoking a pack a day, then the vitamin C is being eliminated in quick succession. The other thing is nearly 500,000 die each year in the U.S. In America alone, tobacco causes 35% of all cancer deaths, 78% of all fatal heart attacks, 18% of death of all kinds, 85% of lung cancer, and 85% of obstructive pulmonary disease. More Americans die each year from smoking than from alcoholism, from illegal use drugs, from traffic accidents, from murder, or even from suicide, but yet it's not been outlawed as of yet. Cigarettes, pipes are coffin nails which shorten lifespan by at least 15 to 20 years. Again, it depends on how much a person is actually smoking. So what we have to do is take in much greater reforms. This greater reform should be seen among the people who claim to be looking for the soon appearing of Christ. Health reform is to do among our people a work which it has not yet done. The sad thing is, many of our Adventists, whether if you're not, in the conference or not, they're not interested in the health message like we should be. We should be, learning as much as we can and applying those things that we've done. And so that's why it has not done, the health reform is not doing to our people what it needs to be done. It says there are those who ought to be awake to the danger of meat eating. We are still eating flesh of animals, thus endangering the physical, mental, and spiritual health. Many who are now only half converted on the question of meat eating will go from God's people to walk no more with them. And so if those are still eating meat, we're getting close to the end of time. We can see all the signs around us, and we're going to start seeing more and more, unfortunately, giving up the faith once given to the saints and all that, they will walk with us no more. Let's go on here. I'm going to share with you about fever, flu, and colds, what you can do. Every day this winter, over 4 million people will suffer from flu and cold symptoms. There will be over 50,000 deaths that are normally attributed to colds and influenza just this season alone. And so what we want to try to encourage is there are 13 cold and flu prevention tips, and we're going to kind of cover a couple of these as we move forward. The suggestion number one, the best thing is to avoid crowds and those that are sick. One, you need to wash your hands more often during the cold season. This is probably the single best measure to prevent transmission of colds, especially after shopping, going to the gym, or spending time in public places. Hand washing is very critical and very key. Frequent hand washing can destroy viruses that you have acquired from touching surfaces used by other people. You can also carry a small tube of hand sanitizer or sanitizing hand wipes when visiting public places. And then here's the thing, teach your children the importance of hand washing too, if we have children or grandchildren. Number 3 says, remember, an ounce of prevention is worth an ounce of cure. Using the cold, flu, and fever herbal tea, or breathing herbal tea, taking it 3 times a day. Suggestion number 4, on a regular basis, spray an air detox around you to kill bacteria and viruses on contact. Number 5, get to bed on a regular basis, getting your 8 hours of sleep, hopefully. Number 6, drink enough fluids regularly every day. Number 7, it's not healthy to put your fingers in your nose or mouth or your eyes. Always dress warm, covering your arms and legs during the winter seasons, cold seasons and stuff. Number 9, get your daily exercise outside while getting fresh air. So we should do that on a consistent, regular basis. Number 10, don't smoke. Do away with it, or don't do it at all. Cigarette smoke can irritate the airways and increase susceptibility to colds and other infections. Even exposure to passive smoke can make you or your children more vulnerable to colds. Number 11, use disposable items, things that you're not having to reuse maybe necessarily if it's affordable. Number 12, throw tissues away after use. Don't just keep them around. Don't put them in your pocket or what have you. Used tissues are sources of viruses that can contaminate any surface where they are left. Number 13, take your time daily with God and avoid negative environment, negative influences and all that. So here, 10 common and flu treatments. You must stop eating immediately because the reason is you don't want to continue feeding the cold or flu. It says you must start drinking only fresh juice, pure water, and take the cold, flu, and fever tea 3 times a day. This is a tea that we have, but find one that will be very helpful and beneficial. You can even make your own out of comfrey, out of mullein, out of lobelia. Number 3, take an aggressive approach and use the super garlic immune syrup. Taking garlic, juicing garlic with grapefruit and garlic, you can actually increase, again, your immune system by taking the garlic. There's a super garlic by Dr. Christopher this is what I'm recommending, but if you can't get it, then just use garlic. If you can't get garlic, use onions, juice onions, and you'll get the onions in a higher concentration by juicing it. Number 4, start aggressive purification of your home. So start cleaning your home because as you're sneezing and coughing and things, you're going to be passing those germs. Number 5, need to take a hydrotherapy bath and hot and cold showers. Then first thing in the morning, sometimes it may take you taking it several times a day. Number 6, take another cup of cold, flu, and fever herbal teas to boost your immune system. Go to bed, spray an air detox around you to kill bacteria and viruses on contact. Number 8, if your colon isn't working, take the colon number 1 to remove any excess waste and toxin. Do a colon detox. That would be very helpful. Number 9, stay positive. And number 10, use the breathing salve on your nose. So you can use something to be able to like menthol crystals or what have you, like a eucalyptus to open up your air passageways and putting on your lips. So if you can, it's good to do a free treatment. It says you must stop eating immediately as well. You must start drinking only fresh juice, pure water, and cold. and all. Suggestion 3, take an aggressive approach and use the super garlic immune syrup. And then need to take a hot hydrotherapy baths, hot and cold baths, showers every single day. For somebody that has sore throat, again, start drinking only fresh juices. Start aggressive purification of your home. Use a cotton swab with echinacea to swab your tonsils here. So what you want to do is get those long cotton swabs. Take an aggressive approach and use the super garlic immune or garlic, juicing that. Spray an air detox around you to kill bacteria and viruses on contact. So if you have a sinus infection, take the cold, flu, and fever herbal teas. Spray an air detox around you to kill bacteria and viruses on contact. Apply the breathing salve to each nostril. Massage into the forehead or to the temple and the chest. And so if you're having sinus problems, use the super garlic again, or the garlic, and drink plenty of water to help flush your system out. If you have lung congestion, and I know I'm just trying to cover, these are the major problems that we may a tendency to have during the cold season and all that. Again, take the cold and flu fever herbal tea or the breathing tea 3 times a day. Start aggressive purifying your home. Spray an air detox, and then make sure you're using some type of breathing salve for your nostril and your chest and stuff. So how we can do this is having clean premises. It says good health requires scrupulous cleanliness, not only the body and the clothing, but also of the living quarters. It says house and yard. The unkept house and yard needs to be recognized as a common source of disease. And it's important for us to understand that our homes needs to be clean. Now we can be excessive, but we need to be balanced, but make sure that our home is clean. Our environment around our home needs to be clean as well, because otherwise we're inviting disease and things of that nature. It says from every form of uncleanliness tends to disease. Death-producing germs abound in dark, neglected corners, in decaying refuse, in dampness and mold and must. No waste vegetables or heaps of fallen leaves should be allowed to remain near the house to decay and poison the air. Nothing unclean or decaying should be tolerated within the home. In towns and cities regarded perfectly healthful, many an epidemic of fever has been traced to decaying matter about the dwelling of some careless householder. This is again from Ministry of Healing, page 276 and all that. So we need to be actively cleaning the area. Let's look at elimination channel number 5, your skin, largest basically organ in your system. And so as you can see, the different layers, the epidermis, the dermis, the hypodermis, our blood vessels, how they flow through, our connective tissues, our fat, our sweat, and also hair, a follicle, kind of a slice there of a diagram of our skin. And so our skin says is the largest organ of the whole body. The skin covers the entire body, and an average adult weighs from 8 to 10 pounds. And so if you were to just to take the skin, if the skin of an adult was laid flat, it would cover an average of about 22 square feet. A piece of skin the size of a quarter contains a yard of blood vessels, 4 yards of nerves, 25 nerve cells, 100 sweat glands, and more than 3 million cells just in the size of a quarter. It says the main purpose of the skin is to provide protection for the body. The skin is a tough, elastic, waterproof covering of the body. The glands in the skin release secretions that prevent the development of bacteria and thus protecting the body from infection and disease. The skin also absorbs vitamin D and aids in regulating the temperature of the body. And so this helps with us preventing from diseases to get in, but we've got to take care of our skin. 3 types of glands here. We've got the oil glands of the skin, we have the wax glands, and also the sweat glands. And so these can cause skin problems at the site of skin contact. For example, like our arms or legs, they can also transfer from hands to other parts of the body, including your eyes. So we've got to, again, take care of our skins. So working conditions that can lead to skin problems include very hot or very cold water temperatures. Okay, they can break down our skin, not using hand washing products or barrier creams, excessive hand washing or not drying them fully. Again, people that are overboard in washing the hands. We talked about we need to wash our hands, but we can be excessive in that. Wet working conditions where hands are wet or you're in water for prolonged periods of time. Exposure to the sun or ultraviolet lights, can be also a detriment to our skin without having some type of natural sunscreen. Skin problems can also occur through exposure to deposits such as dust, emissions, for example, like fumes, splashes when pouring or mixing liquids, different ones, contamination of surfaces or materials, for example, clothing or work equipment that have the different, like the work equipment, for instance, like grease and things of that nature. If we're constantly handling that can break down the vitality of our skin to protect us. So what we got to do is make sure that we're not skipping meals, we're not having long hot showers, testing too many products, because sometimes ladies, they like testing different skin products or perfumes or what have you. We're not, we got to be careful that we're drinking enough water. There is a growing concern about people talking on the phones, especially with the 5G, getting hair products as well, putting them on, or face products, wearing dirty sunglasses, squinting your eyes, like yo-yo diets. A lot of people are always trying to lose weight, and they can go from one extreme to the next, and so therefore the yo-yo diets can also affect your skin. Eating too much sodium, waxing. I put on there waxing too often, but you can be excessive in waxing. Chemicals that are in the water as well. So not remembering your lips. When I talk about is, it's good that we need to have some type of lip balm. If we're frowning all the time, stressful, if we're in a stressful situation, overdoing the sugars as well. Dirty pillowcases. We're not, washing our pillowcases. That can be detrimental to our face, especially if we don't take baths before we go to bed. Exfoliating too often, the plastic on, on our like dry cleaning, things of that nature. Also drinking alcohol, staying in the sauna too long, too much excess of air conditioner as well. Secondhand smoke can also be detrimental as well, overall, not just our skin as well. Let's look at number 6, which is your blood. Blood is very important in that we keep that clean. And so how you do this says your blood is responsible for transporting all sorts of materials throughout your body, from oxygen to hormones, also has the clotting factors, sugar, fats, and the cells of your immune system is important. It says the bloodstream is life itself, and is our job to keep it clean and pure so that we can have a good circulatory system for delivering food to the body properly, and in addition to carry off the waste matter too. And so question is, do I need a special diet or product to clean my blood? Well, your blood is responsible for transporting all sorts of materials, throughout your system. Your liver and your kidneys already do a great job of purifying your blood by removing and breaking down waste. So your best bet for purifying your blood naturally would be to find ways to help these essential organs function most effectively as well. And so if we're making sure that our liver is clean, that our gallbladder is clean, which the liver is the filtration for our blood, then we will help keep the blood system nice and clean. Water is absolutely essential for the vital functions of the body to be performed. One system that is especially dependent upon water is the circulatory system. Water is the solvent which floats the blood, corpuscles, nutrients, and waste elements which the blood is carrying. By the aid of water, nutrients enter the blood and are conveyed to fibers of the intricate human mechanism where repair and growth are needed. So again, it all depends on which type of water that you're drinking. That's going to be the most most effective. The thing that I would encourage you is a purified alkaline water to drink. Some proponents are, of this distilled water, but if you can have your own filtration system, that's going to be your best bet. When water is taken into the system, it is received in the blood and increases the volume of the blood. This thinning of the blood quickens the circulation. When there is more blood, more water comes in contact with the waste matter, and this waste matter is then more easily removed from the body as well, and it's taken to the filtering systems. It says the blood serves three main purposes. One is for transportation. The blood transports gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide to and from the lungs and the rest of our body. So the blood also moves nutrients from the digestive tract to the rest of the body and transports waste products such as like hormones and other cells as well. The other thing the blood does is it's for protection. The blood contains white blood cells that destroy invading microorganisms, as well as platelet factors to clot the blood and minimize blood loss from an injury. So it's used for protection. The other thing is for regulation. The blood helps to regulate your body's pH balance as well, your water balance and your temperature. So that's why, again, drinking the proper amount of water, making sure that we're exercising, walking. I mean, I'm not totally against of running, but actually it's more beneficial if you were able just to walk briskly, and that way it's increasing your blood circulation as well. It says your blood has a lot of important responsibilities, so it's no wonder that people are looking for ways to keep their blood free of waste and toxins. It says fortunately, your body already has a system to take care of the toxic process and remove waste from the blood, namely the liver and the kidneys as well. So the following foods in particular have been shown to positively affect the liver and kidneys' ability to cleanse and filter out waste and toxins from the blood. So if you're going to clean the blood, then you got to take care of your liver and your kidneys. One, inadequate amount of water. Cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts that are not eating on a regular basis. Others like blueberries, cranberries, garlic, grapefruit, and apples that needs to be eaten again on a regular basis to make sure that your blood is clean. Here's one that we use. This herbal blood rebuilder is made up of herbs that are cleansers, but also herbs that give astringency. Others aid in removing cholesterol, kill infection, or build elasticity in the veins and to strengthen the vein and artery. The bloodstream from Dr. Christopher, or we have one that's called the Ultimate Body Blood Cleanser Tea as well. The benefits, it's formulated with herbs high in potassium chloride and other minerals often not found in our foods. It helps to dissolve fibrin, the cause of cataract, blood clots, fibroids, cancers, and tumors, thyroid, balancing your hormones, weight control, high in minerals for cancer, cleansing the blood and lymphatic system, and abnormal cells as well. Let's look at the last elimination channel, which is your lymphatic system. So as you see here, our body, it has a great network of lymphatic, the lymph system and also nodes. But one of the things that it's always troubling, and especially within women that have, usually get breast cancer, then the first thing that they want to do is take out the lymph nodes, which is, to me, is a no-no. Shouldn't be doing that. So there are 7 parts to the lymphatic system. There's the lymphatic vessels. It says these vessels are distributed all over the body to gather clear lymphatic fluid and carry cellular waste, dead cells, and toxins to be eliminated through the sweating, through urine, and through the bowels. The other is lymphocytes. It says there are 2 major types of lymphocyte cells: the T cells, which are what I call the kamikaze cells. The T cells kill invaders, while the B cells produce antibodies. And number 3, you have lymph nodes. which are typically when a person has cancer, breast cancers, what have you, they want to take these out. And so the nodes are important filtering stations where T cells can engulf and destroy bacteria and other toxins in the lymphatic fluid. So you don't want those lymph nodes to be taken out. Number 4, your tonsils, your adenoids, your appendix, and Peyer's patches. Says these are often known as pointless organs, but the truth is they are designed to prevent infection in areas where there tends to be a high volume of bacteria in the body. So, I mean, God designed it for us to have. So I believe it's important for us to take care of it and not just cut it out and remove it. The thymus is this tiny gland under your breastbone, helps produce white blood cells and is an important part of the system. So we need to take care of our thymus. Our spleen especially, again, is seemingly unimportant organ connected with a lymph system that produces the powerful T cell and B cell lymphocytes. So if our spleen is taken out or we damage our spleen, then we will be more susceptible to getting sick or even worse. Our bone marrow, this is where the lymphocytes are born. They are created in our bodies. So the chances are you may feel tired and or sore. This is, the potential signs of congested lymphatic system frequently, because our lymphatic vessels, what's interesting, they're designed with one-way valves, and it's dependent upon us moving. And so that's why it's important for us to walk or get a rebounder, because a lot of times protein can get caught behind the one-way valves. So it says chances are you may feel tired and or sore frequently. Maybe you have headaches frequently or dry and itchy skin. These sound like normal day-to-day symptoms, but they could be a sign of something more. It says the lymph system is the body's largest circulatory system, which means it affects almost everything else. Many of the signs of a congested system go unnoticed because they are commonplace. Check to see how many of these common warning signs you live with on a daily basis. For instance, swelling of the fingers, soreness or stiffness, particularly in the morning, fatigue, bloating or weight gain. How about dry or itchy skin, retaining water, breast tenderness in females, or menstrual pain and soreness? How about your brain is foggy, cold extremities like your hands and your feet? You may have mild headaches, or you have a low immunity. Because its effects are far-reaching, if there is a psychological problem in the body, the lymph system is often the first check to see what has gone wrong. Therefore, an effective lymph cleanse can be a simple fix to many of your body's ailments. So if you have any of these here. So what we need to do is exercise regularly, swinging our arms, to help the lymphatic system, alternating hot and cold showers. So if you're done actually bathing, then do your hot and cold. Use stress reducing techniques. Be sure that you're perspiring daily. Make sure that you're doing a liver cleanse. Maybe, if you're starting off and you're having some issues, you may every 3 months do a liver cleanse, and then eventually taper off to maybe once a year, just to do a liver cleanse, as well as some other colon cleanses and blood cleanses and all that. Look at investing in a far infrared sauna. You can get a dome, you can get a light or a heat lamp. Look at getting an inversion table as well, because it will actually help with the lymphatic system. Using herbs that will be very healing. Dry brushing is also very effective as well, because you're actually helping assist with the blood circulating. Eat an anti-inflammatory diet on a consistent basis. Eat an anti-inflammatory diet. Hydrate with mineralizing water. Dress accordingly, dress properly. Get a massage on a regular basis. Get maybe regular chiropractic care as well. And one of the things that could be even more effective than some of these that I've suggested is actually getting a rebounder, or sitting at your desk with like an exercise ball. That will be very helpful and stress relieving too. If you invest in a mini trampoline, there's going to be humongous benefits. It says jumping on a mini trampoline, or what's called rebounding, as it is sometimes called, is an exercise that has all of the benefits of aerobic exercise plus more. It causes less stress on the skeletal system because trampoline takes most of the stress. It tones and strengthens every cell in the body, cleanses the entire system of toxins and poisons, and uses the force of gravity in an acceleration-deceleration effect in the body, where meaning the acceleration-deceleration, your skeletal system, your body does not take the impact when you hit the bottom of the rebounder. The majority of people, including the elderly, blind, physically and mentally handicapped, babies, and even people in wheelchairs, are able to use a mini trampoline. What you want to do is somebody, especially like it's in a wheelchair, you just bring them up, put their feet on the rebounder, and then you sit there and rebound, and the rebounder will make their legs move, kind of shake their body as you're rebounding, and therefore they will be able to benefit as well. Says a baby can be held while someone is jumping. People in wheelchairs can put their feet on the trampoline while someone else jumps as well too. What it does, it tones and strengthens every cell in your body. Rebounding exercise increases the gravitational pull on the body. What it does, at the top of the bounce, the body becomes weightless for a split second. At the bottom of the bounce, the body receives as much as 2 G-forces of pull. This increased pull causes the cells to tone and strengthen themselves. Bones become denser, all muscles, organs, and tissues become stronger. The acceleration, deceleration, cleansing effects is the lymphatic system of the body has 3 times more fluid than blood. It is called the vacuum cleaner or our garbage collector of the body. It also is the immune system of the body. This fluid, the same fluid that fills the blisters, bathes the cells in nutrients. It flows through the body in a system of tubes with one-way valves. Dr. Corwin West claims trapped protein gets in the valves, and that rebounding is the best way to circulate the lymphatic system. It says the bottom of the bounce causes increased pressure and closes the valves. In the middle of the bounce, going up, the valves open, and at the height or top of the bounce, the fluids begin to flow. As the body descends, deceleration, the fluid flows, pulling waste matter away from the cells to be eliminated by the lymph fluids. This cleaning process helps all cells in the body, so therefore you're assisting. And so, a rebounder, some places I've seen at Walmart for about $69. They used to find them for about $300, but the prices come down. But you want a rebounder, as I showed earlier, you want one that has a rail. Let's see if I can go back to like that picture right there, to be able to have something to hold on to keep you balanced and all that. So here's 10 benefits of rebounding. Circulates the lymphatic juices and cleanses the lymph system. Helps the body to remove toxins and then deliver and absorb nutrients at the cellular level, where it can be converted into what? Converted into energy. Improves the immune system. Also improves the metabolic function, stimulates all of the cells in your internal organs by rebounding. Number 6, it is most boasted as a cellular exercise since it works the entire body at once, yet is gentle on the joints and your ligaments as well. It is considered to be a strength, aerobic, flexibility, and endurance exercise. It also improves balance and coordination. Because of the extra forces of the acceleration and deceleration, it is said that an hour's worth of regular exercise can be accomplished in 30 minutes on the rebounder. So, even if you rebound for 5 minutes, it's going to be beneficial. But if you can give yourself at least 30 minutes on the rebounder a day, you will see clarity of mind and all that. And what's nice about this, it's good for all ages as well. So let's look at arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. This affects about 3 million, and those between the ages normally between 25 to 30, not meaning that you can't earlier or later have this rheumatoid arthritis. It says usually feel stiffness when you first wake up and generally swelling in and around certain fingers or joints. Sometimes conditions worsen or stay the same. There are about 3 million in the U.S. that are afflicted with it, usually every year. And so what you can do is, it should be available probably nearby, is a thermography that you can, every place change, pricing is different, but you can pay anywhere from $125. It's going to be out of pocket. Insurance is not going to cover. The thermography is typically used for women to detect breast cancer and all that, but it can also detect arthritis, and you can see the inflammation there in this person's hands too. Generally affects 1.5 million. This is gout, and mostly men, and is rapid with extreme pain and swelling of one or more of the joints. Usually it affects the big toe, smaller toe, or finger joint. It says there are about 1.4 million experience it, and most of these, 90%, are men as well. And so you can see the arthritis of ankylosing spondylitis. You can see the picture here. 1947, this man was, side profile of the man was taken. In 1957, 7 years later, he started experiencing the ankylosing spondylitis. 10 years later, 1967, you can see how he was slumped over. And then just within 5 years later, not even 10 years later, you can see the traumatic effect of this. It says this affects 2.5 million and generally affects those between the age of 20 to 40. It says there is stiffness, inflammation in the spines, stiffness along with postural changes. And so he, in 1947, had a good posture, but then over a quick time here, he started losing the posture. What we can do, here's arthritis therapy. In most cases of osteoarthritis, rheumatoid, gout, and ankylosing spondylitis is a result of a complex of nutritional deficiencies. And the treatment includes, it has to be a diet of raw food and fresh juices. Drinking 1 to 2 glasses daily of any combination of raw juices of like beets, carrots, celery, and parsley, and or alfalfa. And if you can mix those together and add the alfalfa, then that's going to be a very powerful superfood. Eating meat is especially bad and you've got to encourage everybody to eliminate, and that includes fish. It's interesting. Places I've gone, people say, well, do I have to give up a fish? I'm like, well, it's a meat. And a lot of people don't associate even fish or chicken as actually being a meat. So sulfur containing foods help repair as well the bone and cartilage and connective tissue, such as like asparagus, garlic, and onions to be on a regular basis in your diet. Eat green leafy vegetables, such as whole grain, oatmeal, and brown rice. These supply the vitamin K. Eat daily green juices mixed with carrots, celery, red beets, and vegetable broths too. Herbs, again, I would encourage individuals to start investing in getting different herbs, such as cayenne. Cayenne interferes with the pain perception. When placed on the extremities or drunk, it triggers the body to release endorphins, which reduce the pain as well. So you can take it internally. Now, you've got to be careful not to get too hot of cayenne pepper. Normally, something anywhere from 20 to 40,000 on a daily basis. If you need to take it, that way it will not irritate the stomach. But anything higher, like 90,000, 180,000 to 300,000, you got to be careful, and those are only on for specific extreme cases that you need. Another thing is turmeric. Turmeric is very helpful. This ultimate stone dissolve in arthritis tea says the action of sodium ions tend to liquefy calcium, kidney stones, gallstones, and arthritis and gout. So this is very helpful and very beneficial. The cayenne deep heat salve is excellent for arthritis. You can rub it on. Normally, I suggest doing that at night, especially if you have arthritis in your hands. Also, if you invest and you can see the infrared heat lamp, you can also get infrared mats as well that will also help reverse arthritis situations and stuff. If you can get a dome, normally an infrared dome, you're looking at $600-700 to invest in that. Or there's some that actually have like a full body dome it's basically 3 domes put together. You're looking at over $2,000, but it's well worth it, especially if you're going to be working with individuals to help them reverse these health problems. The far infrared heat lamp, purchase infrared. Normally, again, I would encourage you to get one that's 50 watts. And the higher the wattage, like a 50 watt, you can bring the dome or the heating pad or the heat lamp within about 6 inches to the body. But the higher the wattage, the further away that you need to have it to the body. So some of them I've seen about 250 watt, and then you're going to have it about 18 inches away from the body. And so place on a bendable lamp stand and do about 30-minute therapies 1 to 3 times per day. It's beneficial for those suffering with cancers, to tumors, people that have low blood circulation, arthritis, and other health challenges. So you need to place it, again, depending on the wattage, it will depend on the distance. Be careful of using above the neck. Do not point it toward the eyes. This is suggested and no. You can purchase these generally at most hardware stores, like Ace Hardware, Lowe's, Home Depot. You can also be able to maybe find them at 1000bulbs.com. Now, I haven't been to any of those lately, but those that I years ago when I was looking for this is where I was able to find some of these as well. Another that I would recommend that someone that has really any type of form of arthritis is getting this Utah Sea Mineral. It has a 10 times the concentration of the ocean water, but it's very well balanced, and it will depend on how much or how severe the arthritis may be. So you can go from 1 teaspoon, 3 times a day to several tablespoons 3 times a day. But we've seen that again, time, patience, and being happy. The key is the time, because we've had some that have really extreme arthritis problems, and so it can take several months for them to reverse it, but it can be done, and we have seen the improvements with these individuals by being consistent and persistent as well. So, encouragement: think back over the past and recall to mind all the ways God has helped you through the years. Praise Him for what He has done and continues to do for you. Stay close to Him and trust the future to Him, and He will not fail you, even though you may not understand all the workings of providence. He will guide and help you. The key is, we must trust in Him and all. And especially in these last days, our faith is going to have to grow. We have to have that experimental faith right now, and it will continue growing and becoming stronger and stronger. In the world of medicine, if I can put you on a pill, I can see you every 3 months for the rest of your life. That's how we make money in medicine. If I put you on a plant-based diet and you get better, I probably won't see you again. So the choice has to be, what do we want? Do we want to be on a plant-based diet and not ever having to see a doctor or even a naturopathic doctor? I think the choice is eating a plant-based, wholesome food diet and all. So let's go on into our next section, which we'll probably take tonight and possibly tomorrow if I can get it to go. Benefits of castor oil. This is something that, again, I would encourage you to purchase. I like the Now products because, one, they're affordable and they're very effective. And so the benefits of castor oil is multiplicity. It says it's natural purgative. It says relieving constipation is one of the better known uses of castor oil. A dose of 50 grams of castor oil mixed into warm milk gets the waste moving through. Now, when I talk about warm milk, I'm talking about something of a soy milk base, not cow's milk. Soy, almond milk, rice milk, what have you. says the oil is rich in fatty acids and as such is not easily absorbed into the intestines and moves through quickly, bringing other waste with it. And so it's a catalyst. It says too much castor oil can also be harmful. However, so it should be consumed in moderation. Anyone whose constipation does not resolve within a week should then see a doctor. Two, it boosts the immune system. It says the immune system defends the body against infections, as you know, and disease. Weak immune systems elevate the risk of contracting serious illnesses and conditions. Diet, exercise, and genetic factors all play a role in the strength of one's immune system. Taking castor oil can help improve blood flow, encouraging the creation of the lymphocyte white blood cells that fight bacteria, and enhancing the health of the thymus gland, which produces T cells for the immune system. So actually taking this is not going to be harmful, but you got to be careful how much to take it internally. It also improves your sleep. Insomnia is nothing new, but the stressful and blue screen heavy lives, meaning blue screen being in front of the computer, lives most of us lead today seem to have increased the prevalence of sleeping troubles, especially smartphones. If we're on the smartphones or tablets and everything else, this is why we're having insomnia and having problems sleeping, because we're stressful. Our bodies our minds are looking at the computer screens, even watching TV. Our brains are constantly trying to assimilate all that information. It says many people turn to sleeping pills, but natural options may be safer, especially over long periods. The consumption or topical application of castor oil may help with relaxation, which can also improve sleep. Number 4, it fights fungal infection. It says the undecylenic acid in castor oil helps block the development of fungal infections, and some health practitioners believe it can cure yeast infections in athlete's foot. The oil also gets glowing reports for its ability to fend off ringworm. Nearly 1 in 5 people develop this skin condition at least once in their lives, and castor oil could be a way to stop the infection without incurring the potential side effects of prescription antifungals and antibiotics as well. So this is why, again, just showing you some benefits, but there's a lot of benefits of the castor oil. It also eases burns. It says we all know we should wear sunscreens when outdoors during the day, but we often forget. Castor oil could alleviate the effects of painful sunburns. It contains ricinoleic acid that can guard blistered skin against the infection. It also reduces the inflammation caused by excess sun exposure as well. So you can put it on there, and it's very healing to keep you from burning or boiling on the skin. Aids in childbirth, as many women especially know, they've been heard, they've been told, or whatever, or even may have experienced. It says, though premature birth dangers are well known, complications can develop when pregnancies go well past the due date as well. Some women claim taking castor oil can stimulate the bowels and start contractions, which could prevent the need for more invasive or painful induction techniques. However, this method should not be undertaken without the knowledge and guidance of an obstetrician. So I say this, just to share with you, give you information, and then you've got to make your own decisions as well. It also treats arthritis. We just talked about arthritis a few minutes ago, but it says some natural health practitioners claim castor oil could alleviate joint pain caused by arthritis. Once again, the anti-inflammatory properties of the oil supply this benefit, and animal and test tube studies support the theory that ricinoleic acid can reduce pain and swelling, much as it does for sunburns caused by rheumatoid arthritis cells. Both massaging the joints with castor oil and drinking a few teaspoons in warm water can have beneficial effects as well. So if you're dealing with arthritis and all. Now, it says, let us come to Jesus for light and power from where? The most holy place. So while Christ is pleading for our behalf in the most holy place, we must go to him in the most holy place to get knowledge. I want to look at faith versus works. It says the Creator's plan is obedience plus healing agencies of nature plus God's power. And so it says natural means used in accordance with God's will bring about what? Supernatural results. The reason I'm sharing this with you is because as medical missionaries, we need to understand, the difference between faith versus works and all that. And this is in Selected Messages, Volume 2, page 346. Satan's plan is to cause us to be disobedient, have works of man like idols, drugs, false methods, or New Age principles, plus then the power of Satan, which will result in disobedience plus presumption, which is, no works, the delusive healing power, and hypnotism, plus the power of Satan. So Satan is trying to keep us from being obedient to what God has instructed us to do through medical missionary, through the gospel and all that. Hold on, my computer. In cases of sickness, the cause should be ascertained. So when you're working with individuals, you need to find out why did they get sick. It says unhealthful conditions should be changed, wrong habits to be corrected. Then, okay, so when we look at this, if you look at this closely, in a case of sickness, the cause should be ascertained. We need to not just, talk about and tell people, well, this is what you need to do, and just give them supplements or whatever. You need to find out why did they get sick. And then when they finally get sick, we've got to encourage them to change their wrong habits and to correct them. Then, the word then is conditional. It says nature is to be assisted in her effort to expel impurities and reestablish right conditions in the system. Ministry of Healing, page 127. So there are other systems of healing that are out there, and we've got to be very careful. Only, though, one way that actually heaven approves. Ellen White says there are many ways of practicing the healing art, but there is what? Only one way that heaven approves. God's remedies are the simple agencies of nature that will not tax or debilitate the system through the powerful properties. Pure air, as we've talked about, water, cleanliness, proper diet, purity of life, and a firm trust in God are remedies for the want of which thousands are dying. And that's the thing, is we got to take this gospel. Don't just, come and listen this week, but you need to take the information and then share it with other people. It says, yet these remedies are going, what? Out of date, because their skillful use requires work that the people do not appreciate. I mean, we're experiencing now, because of what has happened the last couple of years, is though we're seeing supposedly, people are going back to work, there's so many people that are like, are not wanting to work and all that. And people don't want to actually put any effort and time. And the same thing with medical missionary. They just want to do the simple, easy, quick fixes. And that's not the way God wants us to do. Going on, it says fresh air, exercise, pure water, and clean, sweet premise are within the reach of all with but little expense. But drugs are expensive, both in the outlay, meaning when you pay for them, and the effect that is produced upon the system. This is why I've said, many spend their health to gain their wealth, but then when they get close to retirement or they're retired, they spend their wealth to do what? Regain their health. And so we need to teach lifestyle changes now and not wait till somebody gets sick or when they get old or older. So let's look at the guidelines for acceptance of any system of healing. And so there's many fads out there, many theories and everything else. So we've got to look at what we're told as the guidelines. Use if someone tells you to do this, use if, one, suggested by inspiration, or what? In harmony with all applicable true science. I know the word science and science, got to follow the science, but true science. So it has to be suggested by inspiration, by the Bible or the spirit of prophecy, or it's in harmony and applicable with true science, okay? Next thing is, you're not to use it if spoken against by inspiration. If the Bible or the spirit of prophecy says not to do it, then you're not to go against with a counsel. The other is not in harmony with the best known science that are out there. I actually was listening to one doctor, and he said, I went to medical school, and the teacher the first day I was there says, everything we're going to teach you during your course here in medical school, he said, within a few years, will be 50% of it will be disproved. He said, but we don't know which 50% will be disproved. So that's, that was pretty startling to me. So we have to know what the best science, and so, true science, when someone develops something else, is going to be based on whatever has already been established and won't be in contrary to it. Continuing on here, it says, watchful waiting, neither espouse unequivocally nor condemn if. So if somebody's promoting something, we can't, just because it's not mentioned specifically or in principle by inspiration. Ellen White didn't write about everything, so that's why we got to be watchfully waiting. Also, the other thing, it's relationship to or harmony with true science not yet known as well. For eternity, we're going to be growing. So I'm just trying to help you safeguard you got to be careful when people are given fads and what have you out there. But again, as we're growing, as we're learning things, then we shouldn't just close our mind to all new ways of healing as well. And then the key biggest thing is pray for discernment as well. To know, dear God, is this what I should do? Is this what I should accept? Is this what I should apply to my lifestyle? So the other thing is seek help from wise, godly counselors. Go to the people that have experience working with individuals with natural remedies, people that have studied, have experienced themselves. I tend to stay away from people that have a theory of medical missionary or other things. I'd rather talk to and learn from people that have experienced it themselves and all. And we've actually learned quite a bit even from our guests. When they come, they talk about their experiences, because a lot of times when people have health issues, they have been dealing with these problems for years, and sitting there and listening to them and all that is also very, it's a teachable experience to learn how to counsel other people. Reasons why these false systems are successful in varying degrees. So you're going to see, and people are going to claim success and all that. So here, look, some truth in all, knowledge of good and evil. Some insist on adherence to some natural law, faith in the methodor, the person or the healer, power of the mind, or the placebo effect. So this is why some of them says, look what's happened, look at our success. Because we're told in inspiration that we need to use medical missionary work as a means, as an entering wedge. But soon that will not be an entry wedge, because as the Spirit of God is being removed, Satan then takes over and he puts diseases on the people, and then he removes it, and they will say, look, this is truly of God. So we have to know the principles to begin with. Also, what will be involved is satanic power, and then you will start seeing unconventional ways of healing. Some specific systems or agencies we got to avoid is acupuncture, homeopathy, reflexology, aromatherapy. I actually presented this, and we actually just concluded tonight our medical missionary training here for the last 20-something Wednesdays or 27 weeks. And one person last week said, can I not use aromatherapy? I said, well, the problem, like companies like Young Living and doTERRA, they have names on these essential oils that, make you happy or whatever. And I said, the basis of these things, it's false. Now, using essential oils are not bad. You just don't claim that it's going to do the healing or increase your whatever and things of that nature. So we just got to be careful with that. Iridology is looking into the eye and detecting, what type of disease or whatever, depending on the placement of within the eye. The kinesiology, hypnosis is something that has been increasing. I've been here in Tennessee. We've been seeing. I used to have a neighbor that had a problem smoking, and next thing I heard on the radio, she had contacted somebody and they hypnotized and she's quit smoking and all that. Or other also faith healing as well. That is going to be something that we're going to be charged with. But if we're trusting in God and we are obeying His laws, the 10 Commandments and the laws of health, but we if we're doing what is right, then we unfortunately will be called faith healers, and it's not us that heal; it will be God, and trusting, believing by obedience. Yoga, certain chiropractic practices as well, what they claim that they can do, chia machines, pendulum or divining, fad diets, gym and crystal therapies as well, excessive colon cleanses. This is one of the things that, we have a friend that just was constantly using colonics, or another one that was constantly doing colon cleansing. And it ended up becoming very damaging to both of them. Reiki, certain herbology as well, claiming that these herbs can do all these things. Meditation, which is actually stemmed in Eastern mysticism as spiritualistic as well. So these are just some that I would encourage you to avoid, or at least look into, find out the origins and stuff, and that we need to stay away from. So safety guidelines for use of herbs as we move into the herbology here. Like I said, we're going to get started tonight and then conclude tomorrow night. So there are some safety guidelines for the use of herbs. One, ultimately always check with physician, preferably one who is familiar with or prescribes herbs themselves, an herbologist preferably, to learn from. Always check in reputable, trustworthy herb books for caution or safety guidelines on specific herbs. That's why I showed you, I think maybe not last night, the Lewis Tenney's herb book. It's good to invest in, or the medicinal plants, the 2-volume book. Also, keep most herb dosages to minimum length of time needed. It says any herb which is strong enough to heal may be also strong enough to do harm when used improperly or for too long a length of time as well. So you got to respect herbs, but also not to be scared of them as well. Keep it simple and avoid large or complex combinations. 3 or 4 are plenty. So as you're learning what these herbs are good for, and then learning what combinations are good for, then keep it simple. Don't complex it as well. Strong, potent herbs like drug plants, which do have potential side effects that are not best for bodies, should be used strictly for medicinal use only, and in special serious cases. So there are some herbs that you kind of hold in check only for serious problems and all that. It says many herbs can react with drug medications. So one of the things that I want to share with you is that if somebody's going to be taking herbs, they're not to take it at the same time that they're taking the medication, because they're antagonistic. They will counter each other and all that. Now, especially if you're trying to help them come off the medication, then you to help them transition. Now, one of the things I want to bring up again is that we should never, here in America, should never tell people they should come off their medication. We can answer their question and pray that they will ask, well, what can I do to come off their medication? Now, if that's their choice, then we need to help them as well. But do not tell them, you need to come off this medication and all that. Though we may know the detriment to that medication, we can be legally held accountable for that. Excuse me. All right, continuing on. 7, temperance in all things. More does not necessarily mean better at all. So we got to be careful to know which ones, what we can increase, should we need them, and which ones we should not. Pregnant women and little children should use great care in the use of most of these herbs, because we don't want them to be harmed, and it can could be detrimental, especially to women that are pregnant. So potent or dangerous herbs that we should be very careful of is the periwinkle, mistletoe, the wormwood, ephedra, and lobelia. Now, lobelia, I will say, is that you've got to use it with care, but again, it will take a lot of excess for somebody to be harmed in the negative way. So the parts of the plant or tree is the root, the rhizome, the bulb, the tuber, the bark, the stem, the bud, the leaves, the flowers, the fruits, the seeds, the clusters, or the secretions, and all that we can use from the plant or from the tree in herb usage and all. So if one of the things I will encourage you is, because how things are getting more expensive, inflation and all that, also herbs are getting harder to find. Probably tonight I was concluding our herbology, and probably the good place to start with is Amazon to start purchasing. But if you're going to start getting herbs and keeping them and have them in readiness to be able to use for not only yourself but for others in medical missionary, I would invest in amber jars. The amber jars are helpful and safe to be able to keep herbs for longevity, because it actually protects from ultraviolet light and light period from aging the herbs and losing its medicinal value. So look at some amber jars again on Amazon, or if you have a local store that carries these in the pint, the quart, or even the gallon size, I would encourage you to get some. So we're going to cover tonight and tomorrow. The first is the 12 most important herbs, and then we're going to look at the other 8, which is the common ones that we normally use. Now, there's many herbs out there, and they're so great. This is just some suggestions to try to get you started. The amber jars for herbal storage says store your herbs in a clean, airtight containers away from heat and light, and handle them thoughtfully. Amber glass jars with airtight lids are ideal. Store them in the cupboard, on the shelf, in a dry and dark place, labeling and dating them for later use. The reason I say that is because when my wife and I had our health food store 23 years ago, she wanted the herbs, and so we ended up having about 300 herbs. And after we closed this health food store to do our lifestyle center, we actually had them for years, and they were able to be stored and all that. They were losing its medicinal value, but even 5 years later, they still were potent. So, but you have to store them, in the shelf somewhere where it is dry, like I put on here, in a dark place. But you got to label them to know when you put them in there, so you know the age as well. It says if needed, cover them with a curtain when not in use. So if you're not able to put them in a dark place. Amber glass jars are designed to protect preserved food and herbs by blocking out 99% of food damaging ultraviolet. That's why I encourage you to invest in the amber jars. So let's look at the difference between wild-crafted or organic herbs out there. It says wild-crafted versus organic. The difference is organic plants are not exposed to environmental stressors in the way that wild-crafted plants are, because they are grown in a controlled environment. Due to this protection, organic plants do not fully develop nutrients and phytonutrients, reducing their nutritional value as well. It says there has been a long-standing debate as to which is better, wild-crafted. And again, wild-crafted is these herbs like ginseng or what have you that grows in its natural environment out in the woods or what have you, as opposed to in a controlled environment for certified organic. It says before there was certified organic, natural herbs gathered free of herbicides, pesticides, detergents, and other harmful chemicals were referred to as wild-crafted. It says wild-crafted herbs and plants are not farmed or sprayed with any kind of pesticides. They are plants that are wild, native, and organic by their own nature, and which retain the positive attributes of plants grown in their normal habitat. Now, medicinally, they're stronger than the organics, but you do what the best. Now, those that are wild-crafted are going to be more expensive than organic, because it does take someone to go looking for them, and they're going to charge for their time of trying to find these different herbs out in its natural environment. Certified organic herbs and plants for essential oils are grown on a farm and produced according to standards which translate into no harmful pesticides, fertilizers, or GMO plants, genetically modified organisms, to enhance their growth. Before they even hit the shelves, certified organic products must pass strict criteria to earn the right to be labeled as an organic herb. It says these products may be healthy, yes, but because ingredients are grown under ideal conditions and not necessary in their natural habitat, they may not retain all the attributes of their wild crafted counterpart, meaning again the medicinal value of those. And so let's look at, we'll start the time we have left, the first 12, the charcoal, cayenne, garlic, golden seal, peppermint, slippery elm, lobelia, aloe vera, cascara sagrada, corn silk, hops, and also witch hazel. So the first one is charcoal. Now, the thing with charcoal is this is not an herb yet. It's very valuable in numbers of ways. Charcoal is pure carbon. And the key is, here's the word, adsorb, not absorb. It adsorbs 29 of the most dangers. And what it does is instead of absorbing these dangerous poisons, it absorbs it. Basically, it grabs it and then it moves it away from the area of your body to eliminate it through your elimination channel. It says you can drink it, dilute it in water, use it as a poultice on wounds or skin and infection and all that. So you can make a charcoal poultice. What you do is spread powdered charcoal over a square of paper towel. Now, I suggest paper towel, or you can use other type of cloth, like terry cloth, what have you. And so you're going to determine how much you need, depending on what the size that you're going to do the therapy on. It says cover then with another paper towel, fold the edges, and then you moisten the poultice. It says place the poultice on the skin, cover with a piece of plastic that extends over all the edges. So you would want like a plastic wrap, so that way it doesn't leak out and spread or stain clothing. It says cover with another square of paper towel or cotton towel to catch leaks that may develop. It says use a binder or ace bandage to hold in place, pinning securely. It says keep it warm, leave it on for about 6 to 10 hours. It is not recommended in any time that you're doing a poultice. You use it once and then you throw it away. And then you want to get the next application of the poultice. And there are charcoal patches out there. I here at the Village Market in Collegedale, there at the Loma Linda Health Food Store as well. I've seen these. These are great to have. And they're, as you see the patch on the person's arm, it's going to be easier to use, less messy, and it actually reduces the risk of also getting your clothing stained and as well. So it's good to normally one of these, they're about, as you see, 5 patches, and there's different ones out there, but normally they're around $10 for them, because then it has a tape that you can put over the charcoal patch. Very helpful and beneficial, but in most cases they want you to put these in the refrigerator and all that, but some of them you don't have to. They can just shelve it, and especially since it's in a foil. So the next one, let's look at cayenne. Cayenne, Dr. Christopher, a well-known, again, herbalist of the mid-20th century, said that if he only had 2 herbs, he would select charcoal and cayenne. He said cayenne is powerful in its ability to attract blood to a body part. Since it is the blood which brings healing, this can be an important quality as well. Internally, it is used for arteriosclerosis, arthritis, asthma, bleeding, high or low blood pressure, bronchitis, chills, cold, convulsions, coughing, indigestion, infection, jaundice, ulcers, and varicose veins. And this is one thing that's always amazes me as we're looking at these different herbs. Now, cayenne is not really considered, it's not an actual true herb by definition, but it is considered an herb. And one of the things, again, is the fact that just for one, like the cayenne, look at the benefits that it has just from one herb that has been that God created for our benefit and use. Externally, it is used for frostbite. Basically, what you do is places that are cold, you can put some cayenne in your shoe. You don't want it directly right in your sock, but on your feet. But then put your foot in there, and as you're walking, the heat from your foot actually activates the cayenne to keep your feet warm. So also for painful joints, swellings, varicose veins. It says when added to herbal formulas, it stimulates the action of other herbs. It is a preventative for heart attacks. So if you can get the powder, you can, or you can get the liquid cayenne as well. Put it in the back of the throat of the person, and it actually will stimulate. It basically kind of gives a shock to the heart to give you time for EMS or what have you. A friend of mine actually said that he had taken it. He was feeling congestive heart failure or whatever, and his wife gave him some, and he went upstairs and got his clothes. And by the time the EMTs got there, he said, well, I can just walk to the ambulance. And they went, and the doctor told him, said, if you hadn't have done that, you might have been in worse shape. So it is a preventative for heart attacks, flu, colds, indigestion, and lack of vitality. It is good for treating the spleen, the pancreas, kidneys, and is effective as a fomentation for rheumatism, inflammation, pleurisy, sores, and also wounds. It can be rubbed on for toothaches and for swelling as well. So cayenne interferes with the pain perception. When placed on the extremities or drunk, it triggers the body to release endorphins, which reduce the pain as well. That's why if you get the cayenne salve and put it over, your fingers, your joints, and all that, what it does trigger these endorphins to help clear up the capillaries, because that's usually where the toxic buildup is, and this is where we get our arthritic problems and all that. Continuing on, cayenne. This is the cayenne deep heat salve that I talk about. It's excellent for, again, arthritis, for neuropathy, for sore muscles, stiff necks, for headaches, stiff joints, and just general overall body pain. But you got to respect it because it is cayenne. When I tell people to apply it on for neuropathy or what have you, try to either make sure you wash your hands afterwards or wear gloves when applying. Next one is garlic. Okay, this is one of the most powerful antiseptic substances ever discovered. In the 1950s, Soviet scientists found it to be equal to penicillin, which is, to me, is pretty interesting, yet without the harmful effects of that powerful drug of penicillin. It says internally, it is used for arteriosclerosis, cancer, contagious disease, coughs, cramps, diverticulitis, emphysema, gas, heart problems, high blood pressure. And what's interesting too is that if you make the garlic, it also not only for high blood pressure, but also if your blood pressure is low, it will help balance it. Now, you don't want to basically excessively use garlic. You got to start with one clove and then increase it as needed. So don't overdo it to begin with, because otherwise most people will then just give it up. So, this doesn't work. So you got to practice on yourself. This also is very helpful for liver congestion, parasites, rheumatism, sinus congestions, and also ulcers. And this is, again, if you use it internally. Externally is also used for bowel problems, for parasites, for ringworms, skin parasites, tumors, for warts, yeast infections. As garlic is used for all lung and respiratory ailments, and can be used as a tea or added to syrups for coughs, colds, tuberculosis, fevers, and blood diseases. And you use it as a tea in an enema for worms and bowel infections as well. It says use the fresh extract oil or eat the raw cloves. Some people, they like cooking the garlic. I prefer and see the benefits of the allicin to have it and take it raw and eat it raw, or slice it, or use a garlic press and then put it in salads or what have you, but don't cook it. It says this is one of the most powerful antiseptic substances ever discovered. as well. So you can make a garlic poultice, again, spread over a square of cotton cloth determined by the size of what you're going to be treating. Crush cloves of raw garlic, cover with another square of cotton cloth, and then you place the poultice on the infected area. You want to cover with a piece of plastic wrap, whatever the area you're treating, that extends again so that the gauze or whatever it catches any of the leaks. It says use a binder or ace bandage to hold in place, pinning securely. Keep warm. Leave it on there for 4 to 5 hours, and then again, anytime you use a poultice, you want to get rid of that poultice and not use the same one over more than once. So the garlic also helps dissolves and removes tumors, good for both high and low blood pressure, indigestion, infections, stomach problems, and nervous headaches. It dissolves cholesterol in the blood system. So if you eat this, and again, it's especially mincing the garlic, it's going to be your best benefit. It kills candida yeast infection. Garlic is very helpful for women and for men. For men, if they have like rectal problems, like rectal cancer, or if they're having enlarged prostate, you can take a piece of garlic. Well, let me talk about also for the women. If women have vaginal yeast infection, cervix cancer, the fallopian or ovarian cancer, you can take a piece of garlic like the first night and peel it, take a clove, and then lubricate the garlic with like an olive oil or what have you, and then insert it as far as possible and leave it in there overnight. For men with inserting rectally, leave it until the bowel movements. The women normally leave it, insert it at night, and then leave it until the next morning, and then douche it out with warm lemon water and all that. Then the second night, what you want to do is crush a new piece of garlic and then insert it again for 12 hours or until a bowel movement. And then the third night is you take a new piece of garlic and make little slices to allow the allicin, the juice from the garlic, to come out, and then insert it and all. So you do this day 1, day 2, day 3, and then day 3 to or night 6, I guess I should say. You insert it with slicing it, and then depend on the severity, either continue repeating that or wait a week or 2 before you repeat it and all that, and you start seeing the effects of what the garlic can do. Now there are some things you can use in addition to that to add, but this is very powerful and helpful. So it kills candida yeast infection, tonic for endurance of extreme temperatures. It stimulates the lymphatic system, increases the quality, longevity, and killing power of natural killer cells tenfold, increases the T cells. It's a preventative herb as well. Remember that prevention is 9/10 of our cure. So if you be taking this, now, if you're going to eat it raw, one of the suggestions that I would recommend is using parsley. Parsley actually helps kill the garlic smell. But I love garlic, especially in the raw sense, raw state and all. The next one is golden seal that we will conclude with for tonight. Golden seal, this is another powerful antiseptic, and in a sense is the first truth. So the first 3 that we just covered is this golden seal is actually an actual herb. It says the first 3 can be purchased in the grocery store, and so by definition they're not really herbs per se, but we give them that title. Internally, it is good for alcoholism, allergies, asthma, bad breath, bladder diseases, bronchitis, canker sores, chicken pox, colds, diabetes, eczema, bleeding gums or gum infections, hay fever, heart weakness, hemorrhoids, herpes, indigestion, infections, inflammations, leukorrhea, liver problems, lymph congestion, measles, mammary and ovarian tumors, morning sickness, sore mouths, pyorrhea, tonsillitis, and ulcers, that it can be used internally and all. It is expensive, but it's well worth the price for what the benefits of the golden seal can do. Externally, it is used for like burns, You can actually just put it right on the burn area by itself, and then just wrap it up with a gauze. Canker sores, eye inflammations, bleeding gums, gum infections, um, herpes sores, leukorrhea, mouth sores, ringworms, skin inflammation, tonsillitis, and wounds. Now, one of the things, if you're going to take Golden Seal, I would not take it more than about 10 days, because it can start anything really we've seen after 10 days, it can be damaging to the kidneys. And so the kidneys, you don't want that to happen. Golden Seal can be used on open sores, inflammation, eczema, ringworm, urolipsia, or itchy skin conditions. It is a specific for all kinds of mucous membrane problems. Snuffed up the nose, it is good for nasal catarrh. Small doses will relieve nausea during pregnancy. It is a douche for vaginal infections, eye wash, and an antiseptic mouthwash for pyorrhea. Used with Cascara sagrada, it is a bowel tonic. As a retention enema, it will reduce swollen hemorrhoids as well. So if you have sinus infection and you're going to use Golden Seal, normally I suggest using also mustard in equal parts, and also cayenne, and then sniffing it up, basically rolling up like a dollar bill and snorting it in each nostril, and then just waiting about 5 minutes. Let the nasal concha just drain on its own before blowing it out, and so it will clear up nasal passages and congestion and all that. So with that, I'm just going to go ahead and conclude, and I appreciate your time and look forward to meeting with you all again tomorrow evening. Father, as we bow before thee, we're so grateful to you for this time that we've had together. Thank you, Lord, as the pastor said, that your nature, that you provided these herbs for the healing of our diseases because of sin. We just ask that you would give us wisdom in the application and the uses of this, that this message, Father, that those that have been watching or later will be watching, it can be a blessing to them and a help in this time that we need to use to help, Father, use the medical missionary work to be an entering wedge to get to the hearts and the minds of these precious people, that they may have an opportunity to choose either eternal life or otherwise. And I pray that they will choose life. So bless Pastor Harold and the Colton Church. Keep them in perfect peace until we meet again. In Jesus' name, amen.